Hello friends, in this video the capacitor start, capacitor run induction motor will be discussed. In this video the necessity of this, the construction of this and the operation of this motor and vector diagram and the torque speed characteristic of the motor and disadvantages of this motor, advantages of the motor, applications of this motor will be discussed. So in a single phase induction motor, there is only one winding called main winding. When only one winding is there, when the single phase supply is given to the motor cannot start because the starting torque is 0. To obtain the starting torque, here two capacitors will be connected in parallel. One is called the starting capacitor, which is connected in series with the centrifugal switch, whereas the running capacitor is connected like this, and the combination of this is connected in series with the auxiliary winding. This is also called the starting winding. The starting winding resistance is high because the winding is a thin wire, whereas main winding is a thick wire. So in this winding the resistance is low whereas the reactance is high, whereas in this case the reactance is low whereas the resistance is high. Initially both the starting capacitor and the running capacitor are connected in parallel so that the net capacitance increases and so that the net reactance will reduces. When these two are present, the current, the angle between the main winding current and the starting winding current, this is also called the auxiliary winding current, have the angle more than 90 degrees. But once the motor or the rotor attains the 75% of its rated speed, then the starting capacitor will be disconnected with the centrifugal switch. The running capacitor is a oil-filled capacitor, whereas the starting capacitor is a electrolytic capacitor. As these two are present in the circuit, the initial cost of this motor is high. When it comes to its vector diagram, it is like this. When both the capacitors are connected in the circuit, then the angle between the main winding current and the auxiliary winding current, that is also called starting winding current, is more than 90 degrees like this. And the main winding current is higher because the resistance is low, whereas the auxiliary winding resistance is more, so the current magnitude is less, but whereas the current leads the voltage by some angle like this, and the total angle between IS and IM is more than 90 degrees. Once the motor attains 75% of the rated speed, then the starting capacitor will be disconnected with the help of the centrifugal switch automatically. Then there are only one main winding and the auxiliary winding connected in series with a running capacitor, which is oil filled capacitor, and the angle between IM and IS will become 90 degrees so that the torque will be present. Here the torque is more, whereas here slightly reduces and runs the motor. So look at this torque speed characteristic. This is 0 speed, this is the maximum speed ns. Only when both capacitors are connected in the circuit and main winding also connected, in that case, that is at the beginning, the starting torque is like this. It's almost 2 times the rated torque of the induction motor. That is, it follows the red line like this, red characteristic. Once the motor attains 75% of its rated value like this, then the centrifugal switch opens the starting capacitor like this. So then the torque reduces and it comes like this. So this characteristic is nothing but main winding torque speed characteristic like this. So that means the torque speed characteristic is like this. At the starting torque is this, and it increases like this and reaches the 3 times the rated torque, and then reaches this value, and then the centrifugal switch opens the starting capacitor, then the torque comes like this and then follows like this. It comes down like this, then it follows this blue color like this. Coming to the characteristics of this capacitor start and capacitor run induction motor, these motors have quiet and smooth running operation. They have the high efficiency. These motors produce constant torque and not a pulsating torque. Because of the constant torque, the motor is vibration free, and the application of this capacitor start capacitor run induction motor is like that, is used for driving the loads of high inertia requiring frequent starting, and where the pull-out torque and the efficiency required are high, such as the applications air compressors, refrigerators, pumping equipment, hospitals, studios, and at the other places where silence is important. So let me discuss here again, summarize this video. This capacitor start and capacitor run induction motor has two windings. One is called the main winding, the other winding is called the starting winding. This is also called the auxiliary winding. And the auxiliary winding is connected in series with a set of two capacitors like this. One is called the running capacitor, which is the oil filled capacitor, whereas the starting capacitor connected in series with the centrifugal switch like this. This branch, that is auxiliary winding branch, is connected across the supply. Similarly, main winding is also connected across the supply, and the rotor is a squirrel cage rotor like this, and the main winding is a thick wire, so that its resistance is very low, whereas its inductance is high, whereas here the reactance is high and the reactance is low and the resistance is more because it is a thin wire. When single phase AC supply is given to this single phase induction motor, more current will be drawn by the main winding because of its less resistance, and whereas this coil, the auxiliary winding coil, takes the current IS, so that the angle between IS and IM is more than 90 degrees. Once the motor increases its speed to 75% of its rated value, then this starting switch or the centrifugal switch opens this starting capacitor, so that the motor operates with the main winding connected in parallel with the auxiliary winding connected in series with a running capacitor. And we have also observed the applications of this, advantages of this and disadvantages of this. And the main disadvantage with this is initial cost is high, and the advantage is its efficiency is high,